right along in there, and we had to listen to the good Lord after a lot of prayer um, and a lot of chatting back and forth about it. And we let God do the work. We let God do the heavy lifting, and we started out getting a bunch of X-rays done like you do. And I want you folks to know that it was the scariest trip of my life, and I have not been able to get on here and just really tell you about it. But yes, I had cancer back in May. And I had to listen to the good Lord about it. Now, during the meantime, I've written a book about this cancer scare that I had, and the book is called What God Told Me. This book has been an Amazon bestseller since it was launched on September the 11th, the day after Charlie Kirk died. And I want you to know that this book is the story of how I prayed and allowed God to direct me as I dealt with that sudden, life-changing and very surprising diagnosis of breast cancer. Right in there's where it was. Now, when you get this book off Amazon, this book has been on the bestseller list up until yesterday. It is still on the hot new releases list at about number 36, I think, and this morning it was about 13. So this book is the story of how I dealt with cancer. If you have a cancer diagnosis or you have a loved one that's going through cancer treatment, please read this book. I am not a doctor. I am not a nurse. And what happened was, when I found out what was going on, I called some of my best friends who are doctors and nurses, and I began to send and fax them my paperwork, and they began to not really advise me, because they actually are friends with the oncologist who I went to and some of the other doctors that I saw. But I prayed for God to begin to open the doors, and my PA, Tara Spivey, and these other doctors worked with me closely, and God opened every door for me to have surgery almost within a couple of weeks of finding this terrible diagnosis out. And I wanted to touch base with you. I'm getting back to the poetry videos. Don't worry, I'm here. I'm okay. I feel great. I don't feel like anything is off kilter. I'm on one of those no sugar anti-cancer prevention diets, and I'm going to be just fine. And thank you so much for being here today and allowing me to check in with you. I have been thinking a lot of poetry. I am writing a winter poetry book called Always Winter. That was a statement that was made to me by one of my great cousins, Tommy Grantham. He was telling me about some things that he and his wife, Connie, did with their children, and especially when the kids were little, and they were all. And let me just tell you one thing. Poetry is the basic bottom line with us writers. I know so many writers that are having a great time writing novels, and let me tell you something, they're very good novelists, but their first love was poetry, and this is where so many of us got started. And I've been thinking about formats. I've been thinking about the way that people write what they call poetry, but it winds up not being poetry. And you know, people writing is wonderful therapy, and I think that a lot of people that do have some issues just use writing as therapy, and that's a wonderful thing. It's a good thing. It helps them, and it sometimes as poetry you can relate to and live with. And so therein it lies one of the keys about poetry. Poetry is a work of art, and if the reader cannot access it or relate to it, they're not going to like it. It's not going to do anything for them. And I could also tell you that if you want to become a published poet and be published by someone that actually pays you for the poetry, or you want to make money with poetry books or whatever, then you must write substantial poetry. You can write silly poetry, you can write junk, you can write rants where all you do is talk about your opinion about something. Nobody will read this stuff. You can have 59 college degrees. Nobody will read the bad poetry, which is what some people write and call it poetry. That's not poetry, friends. That's junk. If you really want to become a poetry, you need to dig deep into your life and into your soul and into your heart. And you know what? If you don't bleed a little while you're writing that poetry, if all you do is laugh and say, ha, I've written something weird, you really have to write from the heart with poetry, just like you do when you're writing a novel. I will be back on here in just a few days, and I'm going to read you some poetry. Now, here lies one of my best-selling American poetry books called Kumbaya. Come by here. And so many of you might not know this, but that song Kumbaya was written down at Darien, Georgia, where a lot of the poetry and prose in this poetry book takes place. And if you want a copy, and you can find this on Amazon also. And I appreciate so much you people joining me in. If you want to get a book that will change your life, if you have cancer or you have a loved one dealing with a cancer issue, you could be healed of cancer. The title of this book is What God Told Me. What God told me, He will tell you. How He healed me, He will heal you. This is the powerhouse book going on right now. I hope you can get on Amazon and get a copy. And I will be back on focused, laser beam focused on the different formats of poetry and how to put a really good poetry book together, and then how to get it published on Amazon. My new book, What God Told Me, is on Apple Books and will be on some other sites very shortly. Right now, specifically, it's hot on Amazon. I'm an Amazon star. I've been told that. Now, I will tell you all how much I appreciate your prayers while I was going through what I was going through. I was in the hospital. This book has an account of me being in the hospital and calling the nurse at the nurse's station one night and telling her I thought my hair was full of cooties, and she ran down there laughing, and she said, what in the world? And she had gloves on, and she started looking through my hair, and she said, honey, your hair is full of saltine crackers. And I'm like, John, and John was watching that Barrett Jackson show on auctioning cars off on TV, and he was standing by my bedside. He would feed me something, he would eat something, he was dropping crackers in my hair. Hey, don't laugh, it could be you. I'm going to say goodbye. This is Peggy Mercer's YouTube channel. I am back, and I am saying, bring it to me, and I will be back in just a few days with the first installment of a very new run of sessions on how to write great poetry. Bye-bye, and thank you for joining me for a minute today.